Title: The Campfire. On a crisp autumn evening, 5 college friends decided to go camping in the secluded woods of Pine Ridge. There was Jenny, the adventurous spirit; Mark, the practical joker; Lisa, the bookworm; Tom, the athlete; and Emily, the quiet observer. They arrived at their chosen campsite as the sun began to set, casting an orange glow through the trees. They quickly set up their tents and gathered firewood. Mark, being the joker, told everyone he would handle starting the fire. With some matches and dry kindling, he soon had a roaring campfire going. The friends sat around it, roasting marshmallows and sharing laughs. As the night grew darker and the fire crackled, Jenny suggested they tell scary stories. Everyone agreed eagerly. Jenny went first, spinning a tale about a haunted house at the edge of their town. The group laughed nervously at her dramatic storytelling. Next, it was Mark's turn. He leaned in closer to the firelight, his face flickering with the flame's shadows. "Have you ever heard of the Pine Ridge Phantom?" he asked with a sinister grin. Everyone shook their heads, intrigued. Mark explained that the Pine Ridge Phantom was a spirit who haunted these very woods. According to the legend, a man had mysteriously disappeared here decades ago. His spirit now roamed the forest, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to camp in his territory. The friends laughed nervously again, brushing off Mark's story as a joke. But as the night wore on, strange things began to happen. Lisa swore she saw shadows moving just beyond the firelight. Tom heard twigs snapping in the distance, though no one was there. The next morning, they woke up to find some of their items missing. Jenny's flashlight, Tom's jacket, and Lisa's book were nowhere to be found. Mark tried to joke about it, but everyone felt uneasy. They decided to stick together for the rest of the trip. That evening, Jenny suggested a night hike to explore the surroundings. Despite their apprehensions, they agreed, thinking it might take their minds off the strange occurrences. They grabbed their flashlights and set off into the dark forest. As they walked deeper into the woods, they heard whispers and felt a chilling breeze, even though the air was still. Suddenly, Emily screamed and pointed to a figure in the distance. A shadowy figure, barely visible, seemed to be watching them from behind a tree. Panic set in, and the group ran back to their campsite, tripping over roots and rocks in their haste. When they reached the campfire, they found their missing items placed neatly in a circle around the fire. Fear gripped them as they realized this was no ordinary prank. Desperate and terrified, they decided to leave the campsite and head back to their cars. But as they approached the trail leading out of the woods, they found it blocked by fallen trees that hadn't been there before. It was as if the forest itself was trapping them. Mark, who had been silent and serious for once, confessed that he had found an old, cursed amulet in the woods earlier and had kept it as a joke. He showed it to the group, and Jenny realized it matched the description of the Pine Ridge Phantom's lost amulet from the legend. Lisa, who had read about ancient rituals, suggested they might need to return the amulet to its original place to break the curse. They gathered around the campfire, with Lisa leading a ritual to appease the spirit. As they chanted, the fire flared up, and a gust of wind blew through the campsite. Out of the darkness, the shadowy figure appeared again, this time closer and more defined. It was the Pine Ridge Phantom, his face twisted in sorrow and anger. He pointed to the amulet in Mark's hand, his eyes pleading for its return. Mark, shaking with fear, stepped forward and placed the amulet on a nearby rock. The phantom's expression softened, and he slowly began to fade away. As he disappeared, the forest seemed to exhale, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The next morning, the friends woke to a peaceful, sunlit forest. The trail was clear, and their belongings were back where they should be. They packed up quickly, eager to leave, but grateful to have survived the night. As they drove back to town, they reflected on their experience. They agreed never to speak of it to anyone, knowing that people would never believe their story. But they also knew they had learned a valuable lesson about respect and the consequences of meddling with things beyond their understanding. From that day on, they cherished their friendship even more, knowing they had faced a terrifying ordeal together and come out stronger. They also vowed never to take the mysteries of the world lightly again, remembering the night they encountered the Pine Ridge Phantom.